One small cut could become life-threatening before antibiotics. A healer could wash it, clear what they could see, let trapped fluid escape, cover it and watch it closely. But once an infection spread through the body, there was no reliable drug that could stop it. That is the frightening part of pre-modern wound care. The cut was visible, the danger was not. A thorn, a knife slip, an animal bite, or a battlefield wound could leave an opening for infection. Some wounds healed, others swelled, filled with fluid, damaged tissue, and made the person dangerously ill. Healers knew wounds could worsen, even though they did not yet know about bacteria. So what did they actually do? Not one magic ancient remedy. They used physical choices. Clean the wound as best they could, remove dirt or damaged material they could find, cover it with a dressing, and sometimes open a swollen wound so fluid had somewhere to go. Those moves could reduce harm. They could not promise safety. Start with cleaning and covering. Ancient Egyptian medical texts describe wounds being closed or dressed with materials including linen, grease, and honey. That does not mean every healer used the same recipe, or that a jar of honey made a wound sterile. It means people were trying to make a barrier, absorb fluid, and protect the injury from more dirt. The key word is trying. A dressing could keep a wound from rubbing against dust. It could also trap moisture or become dirty itself. The person changing it might have clean hands, or might not. Before germ theory, nobody could see which choices carried microbes from one wound to another. Care could be careful and still be dangerous. Then came the ugly problem of swelling and pus. Ancient and later surgeons sometimes opened abscesses or septic wounds and used linen to help them drain. To them, the escaping fluid looked like the body getting rid of something bad. Sometimes an opening did relieve pressure, but for centuries, many practitioners also treated pus itself as a reassuring stage of healing. They were observing a real pattern without understanding the cause. That mistake mattered. A wound can look busy, hot, swollen, painful, leaking, and still be losing the fight. Without antibiotics, a healer had to judge danger from what the body showed on the outside. Worsening pain, spreading swelling, fever, weakness, or a bad smell. By the time those signs were obvious, the infection could already be far beyond a simple cut. Heat was another tool, and a brutal one. Cautery could stop bleeding by burning tissue. In some places and periods, it was also used because heat seemed capable of destroying whatever made a wound dangerous. For early gunshot wounds, surgeons even poured boiling oil into injuries because they believed gunpowder had poisoned them. That was not a clever cure. It added pain and could add damage. In the 16th century, the French army surgeon Ambroise Paré ran out of boiling oil and used a milder dressing on some wounded soldiers. He later reported that those patients had less inflammation and more comfort than the ones treated with searing oil. It was an early warning that tradition was not the same thing as proof. The larger problem was the world around the wound. No sterile gloves, no disposable dressings, no laboratory test telling a healer which organism was growing. An injury could arrive dirty, and every inspection, tool, or bandage could bring new contamination. In crowded 19th century hospitals, infection itself could become a frightening part of surgery. That is why the answer to what happened is not simply they used honey or they cauterized it. Sometimes they cleaned and dressed a wound well enough for the body to heal. Sometimes they drained an abscess. Sometimes they amputated when a limb seemed beyond saving. And sometimes, despite every effort, the infection spread and the person died. The turning point began before antibiotics. In the 1860s, Joseph Lister connected the new germ theory to wound infection. His early antiseptic methods used carbolic acid on wounds, dressings, hands, and instruments. The details of his method changed, and it was debated, but the central idea was revolutionary. Infection was not inevitable bad air or bad luck. Something from outside the wound could be blocked or killed. Antisepsis made surgery safer. It did not give doctors a reliable cure once every deep infection had spread. Antibiotics would later add a powerful new tool. But Lister's shift changed the question from how do we burn the poison out to how do we stop contamination from getting in? So before antibiotics, an infected wound was a race. Clean it, protect it, give trapped fluid an exit when a surgeon judged that necessary. Remove a limb only in the worst cases. Watch the person, hope their body recovered before the infection moved further. The people caring for wounds were not doing nothing. They were making hard decisions with limited knowledge, limited tools, and terrible odds. Their most important breakthrough was not a legendary salve. It was the slow discovery that clean practice and preventing contamination mattered. And this is where history has a sharp edge. A real wound today is not a historical reenactment. If redness, warmth, swelling, pain, pus, fever, or feeling unwell suggests infection, seek medical care promptly. Historical honey, wine, cautery, and improvised drainage are not a treatment plan. Honey or cautery? Tell me below. Then explore the ancient survival and medicine playlist for the next human problem solved without modern technology.